Like, just keep showing up. That's where the magic happens. You can't learn something in a room you're not in. You can't meet somebody at a place you were supposed to go but didn't.
We're building something special, and that's another nail in the structure. When we have a hard day, that's a 15-hour day, another nail in the structure, another nail in the structure. And this time, I said something along the lines of, that was the biggest nail we've ever put in the structure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We are back in the studio, back from Colorado. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we talked to our mentor and friend, David Meltzer. Today, for episode number 679, just keep showing up.
So, Kev, why are we doing this episode? It's good to be back. It's good to be back in the studio.
We had to set up, I shouldn't say we had to, we got to set up the mixer and the camera and all the microphone cables and all that happy jazz. So today has been an interesting day as we're recording this.
We cleaned out the studio.
Yes, thank goodness.
Thank God. We're getting rid of the inessentials and we're focusing on the essentials.
Yes. So something that I can speak to that you and I learned was the power of influence. We met a young lady there who was kind of insecure, kind of felt like she didn't belong there. And naturally, I think that's my tendency, is to go find those people, to seek those people out, because that's what I resonate with more than, the people who think that they're going to, or are ready to conquer the world. Like, that just doesn't resonate with me, because that's something I'm constantly battling. So I heard this person the first day, and the second day when we went there, I went up to her and gave her a hug and said, I love you, and I want you to know that, like, I'm proud of you for showing up, because I know how hard it can be. And later, her and I talked, and we talked about social media, and we talked about her business and her getting on podcasts and all that stuff. But later in the day, somebody called on her, one of the speakers, and she basically said, like, I almost didn't come today. Like, yesterday was so overwhelming. I felt so bad about myself. I felt so far behind that I almost didn't show up today. And if she didn't show up, she never would have met the amazing people that she did. She wouldn't have the newfound belief in herself that she has. She wouldn't have the opportunities, the connections, the community, the knowledge, the awareness. Like, she would have missed out on so many of those things. And I think part of me resonates with that, because this is what I told her. I told her that if I didn't have you to push me to show up to the thing that introduced us to Nick Cavuto, I wouldn't be here either. So I told her, I said, I think one of my superpowers is the fact that I just show up, and I'm usually uncomfortable, and I'm proud of you for showing up consistently, because that's where the magic happens. I messaged her today and said, like, just keep showing up. Like, just keep showing up. That's where the magic happens. You can't learn something in a room you're not in. You can't meet somebody at a place you were supposed to go but didn't. And I think a lot of the opportunities that I've had would have been missed opportunities if I didn't show up. So that resonates with me highly. Of, you might not know the answer. You might not know everything. You might feel in over your head, but what's the alternative? You'll always feel in over your head if you don't start going into rooms where you're stretched a little bit. And as you heard in what episode was it? Friday? Previous Friday?
What?
The episode we did with the hotel?
Yes.
Was it Friday?
Yeah.
We're in this neighborhood.
You said Friday weird there.
Did I? Friday?
Yeah.
We're in this neighborhood with $1 million homes, and, like, everybody is very, very wealthy. This is a very nice area. And, like, I don't feel like I belong. Like, I feel like I'm showing up to this house, and it's like, oh, geez, here we go. Like, hopefully I'm not way out of my league, but the opportunities that present themselves when you keep showing up are just, they're amazing. And you never get, it's the video game analogy all over again. You wouldn't get the opportunity, I wouldn't get the opportunity to show up in this multi-million-dollar neighborhood if I didn't do the last thing that scared me. And if I didn't do the last thing that scared me, or the one before it, I wouldn't have gotten the opportunity to do that. And it's just basically, how long do you want to stay? Like, are you willing to keep showing up?
I think it would be valuable for all of our listeners. And just so everyone knows, and I know Michelle wouldn't mind me saying her name, because she's actually going to be doing a listener live this week with Amy. So I'm super pumped. So all of you out there listening in Next Level Nation, you'll be able to meet Michelle, and she'll tell you her verbalization of the story that happened. The very first day, we heard this on the second day, but it was on the first day where she said, I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt insecure. I felt like I didn't belong there. I feel like everyone else is so next level except for me. By day 3, before we left, she was like, I feel like $1 million. But I was like, how are you doing? She's like, I feel like a whole new woman. And she was open, and she was just literally exuberating, I don't know if that's a word.
It is now.
Exuberating self-belief and self-confidence. And she was just like, let's get after it. To see her on day one completely doubting whether or not she could have came or should have came, all the way to day 3 of like, I'm so freaking grateful that I came. I feel like a lot of things in life are like that.
Yeah.
You know, I often talk about how you're not going to regret going to the gym. You're not going to regret doing that difficult networking event. You're not going to regret, you know, no one ever has been like, you know, I really wish I didn't exercise so much. It's hard at first, but the question of whether or not you should do something isn't, am I going to enjoy this? Because prior to the event, you would have said no.
No.
But after the event, are you glad you went?
I am. I'm glad I went, but I didn't necessarily enjoy it.
Can we go through that a little bit? Because I feel like she would have, I think maybe she thought that it would have been enjoyable, and she realized, oh my God, I'm in over my head. And you felt like that a million times, but if you didn't go through that, grow through that, you wouldn't be where you are. I think that's a great analogy for life.
I do too. It's one of those things of like, for me, that's more of something that I have to do. I get to do it, but I have to do it. It's not that I want to. I'd rather not do it. You know that. Mm-hmm. I'd rather stay home. Genuinely. I'd rather not get on the flight. I'd rather not fly across the country.
So then why do you have to do it?
Because I want to have the most successful podcast in the world, and I want to be able to impact billions of people, and I'm not going to do that from my house. I mean, maybe you can, right? Maybe that's a limiting belief, but I'm not going to be able to do it as well if I don't make connections with people who are already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I said this in the last episode, and I'll just reiterate quickly. Like, when I was getting on the plane, it was you either do this or you don't get what you want. I was anxious. Like, I was super anxious all week. Like, the entire week. One of the nights we went to bed, I literally was like, oh, God. I genuinely felt like I was going to have a panic attack. Genuinely in bed. I was like, you're fine. Like, you're fine. Talk yourself down. You're fine. And Alan's just sleeping, you know? But that's the stuff that I don't want to go unnoticed. Of like, oh, they're out in Colorado crushing it. Like, yeah, it was awesome. Awesome. It was genuinely amazing. Mm-hmm. But like, I was struggling. I was riding the struggle bus. And I just try to keep showing up. And for you, if you're watching this, if you're listening, I don't want you to... People will say, I did it even though I was scared. I want you to do it especially if you're scared. Because that's where the growth is. If it's a little bit outside of your comfort zone, I want you to do it. I talk about the island thing at the Cape Cod. We went to an island party and I got to meet people. Like, awesome. And then there was like a mansion thing where you and I went to like a mansion thing and it was a networking event. Awesome. And then, you know, we've just done all of those. And every time I'm a little bit less afraid, but every time
a little bit of less,
every time I show up.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't show up, you guys wouldn't be listening.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and I'm host of the Business of Happiness podcast. When I met Kevin and Alan 2 years ago, I had no idea of how much impact they would have not only on the success for my business, but also on my life. They've given me enormous perspective and true strategies, true tactics to take in my everyday business plan and in my life plan to make an even greater success. Kevin and Alan, thank you so much. I couldn't even begin to express my gratitude for all you've done for me. And if you're looking for similar mentorship, I highly recommend these incredible experts at the Next Level University.
So I think it would also be super valuable. We got to go in 2 minutes here, but to find the chain. So for example, that event, I believe, and when Kevin and I got back, just to give context, when we were absolutely cooked, you know, 3 days, 4 nights, and just for reference, we took a flight home. The flight left at midnight.
The old red eye.
And then I slept in the airport before the plane. Then I slept on the plane. Then I slept in the airport again, waiting for the bus. Then I slept on the bus, you know. And so it was difficult. I
didn't sleep any of those times
just at all. Yeah, they had a couple nod-offs, but that's about it. And so to say we were cooked at the end of this is an understatement. But before we parted ways, it was basically this. Kev, we have the saying that we'll say often, which is another nail in the structure. We're building something special, and that's another nail in the structure. When we have a hard day, that's a 15-hour day, another nail in the structure, another nail in the structure. And this time I said something along the lines of, that was the biggest nail we've ever put in the structure, referring to this past week. I believe this past week was a compound of an accumulation of every good decision we've made up to then. And I think this is going to be another one of those boosters in Mario Kart where, yeah, you go out of your way a little bit, but then you hit a booster. Yeah. So when I mentioned the chain, here's what I'm going to do quickly. We interviewed Daryl Stinson a long time ago. This had to be a year and a half ago. It was like right after COVID hit.
No, wasn't it before that?
I don't know.
I think it might have been before COVID.
But we were virtual. I know that. Okay, Daryl Stinson had us on his show.
Yeah, I don't remember the
and I don't know where he found us.
Yeah,
he had me on his show.
Oh no, I'm telling you, this was like back in the basement, I think.
Really?
Yeah, because it was from Dave's people.
Okay, so Dave's people reached out. So his name was Todd. Reached out. We had Daryl on our show. Yeah. Then Daryl had me on his show. Daryl had you on his show. Then we both went on when he was promoting his book. Mm-hmm. He referred us to Dr. Justin Mosley. Dr. Justin Mosley had him on his The Power of Mindset Summit. At the tail end of the summit, there was a hot seats thing that Kevin's referenced, and we met Nick Cavuto on that. And then Nick Cavuto started mentoring us. The alarm is going off. Nick Cavuto started mentoring us bi-weekly, and we had Nick do a meetup. It used to be Meetup, now it's Live Podcast. Then fast forward, he ends up having an event, and he literally flies us out. Well, we paid for the flights, but he invites us. Yep. All of that stemmed from tiny courageous moments consistently showing up over time. This is just keep showing up. What if we didn't show up for when Daryl Stinson was scheduled? What if we didn't show up on Daryl Stinson's show? What if we didn't show up for the Power of Mindset Summit? What if we didn't show up for the hot seats? What if we didn't show up to coaching calls every week with Nick? What if we didn't show up to Colorado? See, what if, right? It's if you're out there listening right now, one tiny courageous moment can ripple into your life, but you have to keep showing up. And everyone kind of knows inherently that if you don't show up to the gym, you won't be in shape. But do you understand that the same is true for business? The same is true for your intimate relationship. The same is true for your goals and your dreams.
I don't want it to not land, because sometimes I feel like it seems so far away, because we're talking about traveling and all that, but like all you have to do is like the next thing that scares you a little bit. The thing that you know you should do, but you convince yourself not to. Whether maybe it's making that phone call or having that conversation or whatever it may be, the next opportunity you get that you say, oh, I know I really should do this, find a way to make yourself do it. Tell somebody, tell your family, tell your friends, like, when this comes along, make me do this. Like, make me do this. Because you'll regret it if you don't, but you won't know how much you actually regret. Because you won't know what you would have gotten.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do the hot seat. Alan made me. Alan made me do the hot seat, and I'm grateful for that. Mm-hmm. But he knows what my goals are, because I told him early on I want to be successful.
That would have been a major
jet. Right. I know that now, but I never would have.
Right.
So maybe it's not getting on a flight and flying across the country to meet a mentor in a room of people that are very successful. Maybe that's not what it is. Maybe it's having a courageous conversation at work. Maybe it's sending a message for your first client. Whatever it is, start small, and if you keep showing up, you'll get way further. You'll get way further, and you'll have way thicker skin. You'll have way more lessons. You'll have way more stories. You'll have way more communication styles. You'll have way more people in your life. Everything will be better, but you got to keep showing up.
And most importantly, you'll have way more self-esteem and self-confidence and self-belief. Boom. All right. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, when's the date? Was it February 22nd? February 12th?
February 12th, Saturday.
February 12th, 2022. We are doing our first of many Next Level Lives. We're going to have a live event where we're not sure on the speakers yet. I'll let you explain it, because you're actually planning it in your head. I just kind of am along for the ride. So.
Okay. So full day, full immersion event. Starts at 8 a.m. Doors open at 7:30 a.m. 3 speakers in the morning. There's a breakout session in the middle of each speaker, and then there's a 3-person on-stage Q&A panel, and then there's a break for lunch, a full hour of networking and meeting people. Then there's 3 speakers in the evening, same format. Basically, full day, full immersion event, opens at 8 a.m., ends at 5 p.m., 6 speakers total. The goal is when you come to this event, you will be one version of yourself. By the time you walk out those doors at the end of the day, you will be a different version of yourself. And then your life will transform as a response to that.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, also, Alan and I have spots available for clients.
Oh, yeah.
I can't talk. I am onboarding 3 clients in September. So September is going to be a busy month. Mm-hmm. If you are looking to grow your podcast or grow your business, reach out to us directly.
We always laugh when Kevin can't speak.
It's hard. You might be thinking, I can't afford that. We have services from weekly, bi-weekly, audio editing, video editing, whatever you need. Next Level Podcast Solutions has your back. Anything to add before we go?
Just keep showing up. And it's the things that you might not want to do in the moment, but you'll be grateful you did them. And that's the key. You don't have to want to do it. You'll be fulfilled after, because you'll be proud of yourself for showing up.
What would the best version of me do? That's the question. What would the best version of me show up or not?
Exactly.
If that person would, you do that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We appreciate you. Up next is last week's live podcast, How to Build a Next Level Community. I feel like we just really doubled down on that in that room in Colorado. We hope you enjoyed this. We love you. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you soon.